Ross interview, October 23rd, 2016. Ross? Ross, are you ready to begin?
Yes, sir.
You don't have to call me sir, it's okay. Are you sure you're up for this?
Claire said I should do this.
Well, what do you think? Do you think you should do this?
I guess.
Let's start with something easy, okay? How old are you?
I'm 6.
Do you remember a lot about what happened to you?
Yeah, I remember.
Author's note. Ross refused to make eye contact with me. He sat slumped over in his chair and looked sick. I wondered if I should even continue, but pressed on. When did you first meet Clue? That was his name, right?
Yeah, Clue.
Do you remember the first time you saw him?
It started before that.
I'm sorry.
I went to church first, with Mom and Dad and Claire.
Okay, did something happen at church?
Yeah, I was really sad,
Why were you sad, Ross?
'cause I had nobody to play with. All the other kids have friends, but not me. Claire said it's because I'm weird.
You're not weird, Ross. I can be your friend, if you want.
You're just saying that. Nobody wants to talk to me, except that man at church.
What man?
The man in black. The one with the dark eyes. I seen him a lot. Always sitting in the back, like he doesn't have friends to sit with either.
Did you go talk to
Yeah, after the preacher was done.
What did he say to you?
Told me I was a good boy. Asked to see my clay.
You had your clay with you.
Uh-huh. Mom lets me take it to church so I don't get bored. Don't tell Dad that though.
I promise I won't. What did he do with your clay?
He asked if I was lonely. Said he would make me a little friend.
And did he?
He made Clue. Just a little one.
And he gave the figure back to you.
Yeah, he said to be careful not to ruin it.
Ross, do you know what this man's name was?
Yeah, he told it to me. I seen him on TV a couple of times too.
Really? Who was he?
His name was Paul Ross.
Author's note. I remember feeling a chill run through me. I couldn't believe it. I proceeded with caution and tried to mask my shock. You're sure that was his name?
Yeah, he told me not to forget, so I didn't.
Ross, do you know what that man has been doing recently, what he claims to be?
No, sir.
He's a self-proclaimed Antichrist, Ross. Do you know what that means?
That he's bad.
He's been stirring up a lot of buzz recently and developed quite a following. He's a dangerous man. If you ever see him again, you should tell your parents immediately.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, Ross, it's not your fault. None of this is your fault.
But if I hadn't talked to him, then Clue wouldn't have come into our home. He wouldn't have done this.
Author's note. Ross looked down at himself, tears running down his cheek, and he sobbed quietly. I calmed him down, and after a little bit, he spoke again.
I knew Clue was bad. I always knew. I could feel how bad he was. But he talked to me. He talked to me a lot. He told me how sad it was here. How sad my family was.
And you believed him?
Yeah, I was kind of sad, you know. I wanted to go somewhere that I didn't have to be sad.
And so Clue told you he would take you there?
He did. After a couple of weeks, I finally gathered enough courage to put the clay over my dad's eyes.
Clue told you to do that?
He said that Dad needed to build something in the cornfield so that we could leave. So that we could go someplace that wasn't so sad.
Where did the clay come from? The clay you put over your father's eyes? Was it yours?
No, Clue told me to scrape some off his body.
And you did?
Yeah, it was the first time I ever touched him. He was so cold.
When he talked to you, what did he sound like?
He sounded like Mom.
Your mom?
Yeah, or my grandpa. He's dead, but I remember what he sounded like.
You loved your grandpa?
Yeah, he died last year. I really miss him.
Where did you keep the little clay figure Paul Roast gave you?
On my dresser. Clue told me not to touch it, otherwise he might go away.
Did you want to touch it?
Kind of. Clue scared me. I knew he was bad and that Mom and Claire couldn't see him, but I wanted to go to the place where it wasn't sad.
Did Clue ever say what this place was?
Just once, he called it Mortis.
Okay. Let's shift over to the night in the cornfield. Can you tell me what happened?
Clue said it was ready.
What was the cornfield?
Yeah, he said the symbols needed to be under the sun for a little while, but that they were ready.
You're talking about the markings your father made in the clearing.
Uh-huh, and the statue.
But once the time came, you decided you didn't want to go.
I was scared, but Clue made me.
What do you mean?
He pushed me out of the house, like with invisible hands. They were so cold.
Did Clue follow you?
At first, but I didn't see him move. He never moved. He would just be in one place and then another.
How far did he follow you?
Until I passed the barn. Then he was gone. I started to scream. I was so scared.
And that's when your mother came.
She didn't find me until I was already in the clearing. I was walking toward the dirt statue Dad made.
The one that looked just like Clue.
Yeah, except it was brown instead of blue.
Did you still feel those invisible hands pushing you forward?
They were like ice. Shoved me closer and closer toward that mound of dirt that looked like Clue.
You had crossed over the circle and had entered the marked earth by then, right?
Yeah, I was shaking all over. I was so scared. Once I was right in front of the statue, the cold hands kept pushing me.
Pushing you inside the dirt.
My hand slipped right through it, like it was warm water. Just disappeared inside, and then my wrist, and then my elbow.
And that's when your mother found you.
I already had my arm and up to my shoulder and part of my leg. They just passed right into that thing.
But before you can go any further, your mom pulled you out.
Uh-huh. But when I came out, I left behind the parts already inside.
Author's note. Ross began to cry again. He looked down at his body, and I can see the horror in his eyes as they swept over part of himself that wasn't there anymore. I'd be lying if I didn't admit some repulsion, as much as I am ashamed to admit it. The right side of his body was gone, as if it had never been there at all. But instead of empty space, I could make out the shadow of where his arm and leg had been. It was a darkness that seemed to move on its own accord. While it didn't hold any physical weight in our world, I can tell that something had crossed over from a place completely alien and had attached itself to the child. Ross, do you want to stop?
I want my mom.
Okay, buddy. You did really good. We don't have to go on anymore. I'll get your mom in your wheelchair, okay? Can I just ask you one last thing?
One more.
Why was the little clay figurine in the hallway that night? And not your dresser?
What?
Your father said he found your little clay figure of Clue in the hallway. This was when you were in the cornfield. He destroyed it, and when he did, Clue vanished.
Oh no.
What's wrong?
I destroyed that thing 2 days before I was taken into the field.
What are you talking about?
It didn't matter anymore. Whatever power it held over Clue, he had outgrown it.
I don't understand. If you destroyed it, Then why did your father see it in the hallway that night?
Because Clue was growing new bodies.
What?
He wanted more friends. He wanted to take us all to that place. That place inside the statue my dad made.
Mortis.
Uh-huh. He wanted me to hand out the little clay figurines to all the kids at church. But they weren't like the one that man made me. That was just a seed, I think. Like one you put in a ground. I think that was the first seed. I think I was the first seed. A test.
You're saying these figures would eventually grow into entities, like the one that haunted your family.
I think they would have brought more things. More things like Clue.
Ross, how many of these clay moldings did Clue make?
Hundreds.
Where are they, Ross? Where did they all go?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
I think we're done here.
Can I go see my mom now?
Yes, of course. The events that I unearthed in these interviews have left me shaken to the core. I don't dare dig any deeper, for fear of what I might find. There are answers out there, holes that lead to revelations that I don't want to think about. I don't know where he was trying to take all the children. I don't know why he vanished that night, if he did at all. But something tells me that one day we'll find out. Because one of those clay figures is going to show up. And then it will start all over. Ghouls! I hope you enjoyed this series. Oh my god, it's so good. The ending was so good. At least I thought it was good. And a big shout out and thank you to Pitt, who lent his voice to Ross. I think he did a pretty good job. So go subscribe to him, please. It'll be in the description and all that good stuff. Go subscribe. And I guess question of the day will be, what do you think of the ending? What do you think of the story? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Let me know in the comments below. But as always, ghouls, the last video will be on the top left. The next video will be on the bottom left. All my social medias are on the screen as well as in the description box below. And remember, there's always someone or something watching you.